Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to our live webinar on this wonderful, beautiful Monday morning in Cape Town, the 19th of September. Spring has finally sprung, I'm hoping, and COVID restrictions have sort of been relaxed, and I'm wishing you a wonderful start to the week. So by way of introduction, for those of you who don't already know, my name is Celeste Margo le Roux. I'm the National Treasurer for IOPSA, and I'm also the CEO of a group of companies called the React Group, one of them being React 24, my new baby, React Training College, where we're a plumbing training college within the Western Cape, and then Retool, where we do equipment hire and repairs. So that's about me. This morning, I would like to talk about a topic that I'm really passionate about, and that's small businesses. React 24 was very lucky enough to have won the National Small Business Chamber competition last year. And I'm also a Standard Bank top woman entrepreneur. So small businesses and the development of small businesses is really my passion. And so when I look at where we started over 20 years ago and to where we are now, it's amazing. And so this is what brought me to this quote, which I quite like. It says, "A big business starts small." So whether you're small right now and you have the correct vision, if you want to grow bigger, sky's the limit. Not even, but anyway. So I want to introduce you to this concept. My husband, David, is the COO of our group, and he introduced me to this concept called the secret sauce. Excuse me. And so every business has their own secret sauce. And those are the elements that you utilize in your business from day to day that gives you the unique selling point. What makes your business successful? And so whatever makes you unique to your business, there are a few ingredients for this recipe of success. And so I'd like to go through those three that those successful businesses have in common. The one is organizational skills, which we will talk about today. And no, that's not just having a tidy desk. It's a little bit more than that. And then I've said the right mix of employees and the right mix of customers. When you mix those together in the right parts, in the right way, it will then lead you to your secret sauce. And so I'm hoping that you guys can take away a few key insights for this webinar today. So what are my organizational skills that I need in a small business for it to be successful? The first one is to stay organized. I suppose it goes without saying, but it's not always that simple, especially if you are a plumber and you own your own business, but you're busy working on the road with the guys. It can become very difficult to stay organized. I see that with our technicians on a daily. Paperwork is not maybe their strong suit, and so there are papers all over the show, and it's a constant reminder. You need to stay organized. You need to do your to-do lists. You need to fill out certain documents, but there's a reason for all of that. And so I need to reiterate that having the proper documentation together with time management and trying to automate those tasks that need to be done repetitively, those things that you do all the time, it can actually mean the difference between success and failure. And I truly believe that in order to have any sort of success, you need to be organized. There's no ways that you can plan or think of anything important and give consideration to anything when you're in a frazzled state and you're not organized and you need to find things. Also, being organized helps you to complete those tasks and stay on top of those things that need to be done. So let's talk about the first one on the list. It's our to-do list. I truly believe that an excellent way to stay organized is to create a to-do list. So I'm not sure if any of you are like me. The best feeling in the world is when you have your to-do list in front of you and you can tick off a task. It's an accomplishment in itself. I absolutely love it. But not just that, when you write down your thoughts or your items to do, it means that you've given thought to, and you can prioritize those things that need prioritizing. The next one is to take notes. I insist in our business, everybody has a little black hardcover book. And when they're meeting with anybody or seeing anybody, it's their black book. If I've asked you to complete a task, please make a note in your black book. So the purpose of taking detailed notes is to write down everything so that you can break things up in manageable steps. What tasks and activities can you then hire somebody to do or delegate that can leave you free to do those things that you need to concentrate on? There's this wonderful principle called the Pareto principle. And it says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your activities. So just if you just let that in, 80% of your results come from 20% of what you do. So those things that you need to do on a daily are actually important and they lead to your success. And so you need to give priority to them. Not only that, when you do you take your notes, you can actually plan your process flow. And I'm a stickler about processes. But a word on processes is when you take detailed notes and you write them down in manageable steps, you actually see where your inefficiencies are. You can hone down on those processes, and it actually gives you a chance to build quality into your processes. A process shouldn't just be a process for the sake of doing it. It's always with the end customer in mind. So building quality into your everyday processes goes a long way into your success and engagement with your clients. The next thing about organizational skills is to utilize technology. There are so many cool apps and software around these days. Things like Asana, Slack, Monday.com, Google. They really help you stay on top of your to-do list, your meetings, where you need to be, what time you need to be. And it's a great way when you utilize technology, just to stay on top of things. You know, technology is changing all the time. And so we actually just need to get on with it. However, for those of you who are like me and not that technologically advanced, even just a simple Excel spreadsheet can help a business stay organized in many ways. There's wonderful examples of social media technology where you can plan your social media campaigns ahead of time. Things like talking to your teams quickly, where you have a shared database. Things like that just make it a little bit easier. So I always like to use this rule of thumb when it comes to technology and even emailing. If you can explain something in an email, there's no need to hold a meeting. Really, some days we get stuck in meetings all day, and all it would have taken is just a simple email. Then number 4, and so this is sometimes not the pleasant things to talk about, but they are important. And those are the accounting disciplines that we need in our small businesses. So, you know, if we look back historically, every successful business, the one thing that they have in common is that they keep detailed records of everything. By keeping detailed records, you know where your business is at financially. You know where you need to put your resources into. You know what your bottom line is looking like. And so that really helps you and gives you time to devise plans for how to deal with problems that might come along. So most businesses have 2 sets of records. And for those of you who are sneakerheads out there, I know my husband is a sneaker collector, and they have this saying, it's one to rock and one to stock. And I quite like it. I think of that, of paperwork like that. You rock one, which means it's paperwork that you use every day. It's on your internet, or it's on your computer in the cloud. And then you have one to stock. That's your backup. That's your files. That's your paper. And the good thing about that is at the end of the month, when you need to reconcile, it's a great checklist. It's a great way of checking the one against the other. So that's my one to rock and one to stock. My tip for accounting disciplines is that at least once a week, spend some time on the accounting aspect of your business. Make sure that you're billing your client on time. Nothing is falling through the cracks. Sometimes we get so busy that we forget to bill our clients, but then also to make sure that we pay our suppliers on time as well. And during the month, to go through any discrepancies. Look, guys, you've sent me an invoice, but I don't think I've received any of this. You need to sit down and go through that. Then we also keep all our records of your invoices, your cash payments, your delivery notes, all of that paperwork. Keep them in a nice file in your van while you're driving. Once a week, take it out, go through that and reconcile. So I also want to make a point about being disciplined about keeping your business account and your private account separate. It's very easy as a small business owner to sort of live off your business account. But as you grow, it becomes difficult. And keeping those entities separate is just a good way. It's a good practice, number one. It's a good way of keeping everything neat and tidy, if you will. And also, I'm sure your bookkeeper and your accountant will thank you for that. The next secret sauce ingredient that I would like to talk about is the right mix of employees. And this is very important. I love this quote by Simon Sinek. It says, customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. And that's really very, very true. So how do we get the right mix of employees? And that's my list. Number one, how to build a strong team. The reality is that businesses fail or succeed on the strength of their workforce. And that just shows how important employees are. You need to find people that are who genuinely care about the business's well-being and aren't just looking for a job. I like to use this instrument or tool, if you will. One way of knowing whether someone is the right fit for your business is by assessing values. So that's to say, if the organizational values and their private values, if they don't align, then it's not a good fit. It doesn't mean that anybody's right, and it doesn't mean that anybody's wrong. It just means that you don't align. And that's how problems come about, which might affect the culture of your business later. So first, see if your values align. If they do, wonderful, go ahead. Also about plumbing. Most plumbing businesses are fairly reactive. And what I mean by that is there's an emergency, it needs to be sorted out now. So we're constantly living and working in this very fast-paced environment. And so you need to surround yourself with employees that understand that aspect of the business. So it doesn't mean that it's stressful, because there is a difference between stress and pressure. It might be a highly pressured environment, but it doesn't always have to be stressful. The next important aspect is shared passion. You know, guys, passion is so important. I'm sure anybody that started a business, you lie awake at night, you think about an idea, you think about a need or a niche that you can fill in the market. And so that's probably how most small businesses come about. And that's the passion that drives you to do what you do. You need to find those people that share your passion. I think any entrepreneur, their most important skill is persuasion. So think about it. You need to persuade clients every day to use your services, but you also need to persuade employees to come and work for you, that it's a good place to be. So you're busy with persuading people all the time. The only way that you can be persuasive is through passion. If you think about a salesperson and he doesn't have passion, you're not really going to want to buy from him or to do business with him. Also, the one thing about passion that I found is on those low days, on those slow days, and I've had many of them, I'm sure many of you can attest to it, when you just don't feel like getting up that morning and you ask yourself why you decided that this was a good idea, the one thing that's going to drive you is your passion. Passion is an extremely important part of the recipe. Number 3, develop yourself as a good leader. It doesn't mean that because you're a business owner that you're a good leader. And being a good leader takes a lot of hard work. But there are a few traits that good leaders have in common. Things like empathy, kindness, those soft skills, vision, influence. Those things you need as a good leader. Having an open door policy, maybe, for your employees to feel free that they can come and chat to you whenever they need to. Those are things that need to be considered and to develop yourself as a good leader. Even if you are a small business and you don't have employees right now, practice your leadership skills. It'll come in handy as you scale up. Number 4, hire the right people. I might say something controversial, but I use this. Hire slow, but fire fast. And what do I mean by that? When you hire somebody, there's always a cost attached to it. And what I mean by that is, think about the costs that you have to outlay. Normally, it's a vehicle that you need to give a person, which means fuel. There's a cell phone, there's a laptop, and all those, it's a cost to the company. So make sure that you've considered the person, and it's not just about filling a gap and a need out of desperation. Take your time, make sure that it's the right person with the right fit. Fire fast, it just takes one disgruntled person to affect the entire culture of an organization. And culture is something, organizational culture, something that we can deal with at a later date. But, as I said earlier, if your values don't align, it's not the right fit. Rather, tell the person, you know what, you're a wonderful person. It's not personal, but we need to move on. Next, train your employees well. Most often, it's your employees that are in touch with your clients. You need to make sure that they are on top of the game. Invest in your employees, develop your employees. Those are, leave them with skills that they can utilize within the business. So it's easier to train somebody well than to get somebody in new and spend 30, 60, sometimes 90 days onboarding somebody new. Communicate effectively with your team. And this is an important one. Even for myself, I found that in the beginning, when we started the business, I wasn't communicating my vision to the employees. And that means your employees don't know what the expectation is. And so it's very important to communicate your expectation, communicate the end result to your employee, communicate why you do what you do. That helps a lot. Everybody has clarity. You're all on the same page. The next one, important one, with 5 minutes to go. The right mix of customers. I like this one. Instead of focusing on the competition, focus on the customer. I always believe now, and my husband and I will always have this conversation. Plumbing, being in a plumbing business is a service business. You're in the service industry, and oftentimes it means the servant industry. You're there to serve somebody else, and you need to do it to the best of your ability. The reality is, if you don't get it right, there's somebody else that's there that wants that client, that can give them a good service. First one, maintain a personal touch. I think that small businesses have an added advantage when it comes to this, because you are so accessible. Pop in from time to time to your client. Maintain that personal touch. You know, with technology today, yes, it is good and all of that. But how many times you go online, there's a chat box. You don't get to chat to somebody. You know, these days I struggle even finding a contact number online. It's important to maintain a personal touch. I believe that people do business with people, and that's an important thing. Then focus on the customer experience. You know, oftentimes customers will actually pay more if they've had a good experience. And think about it. If they haven't had a good experience with all the social media, not only you are going to hear about it, but the entire world is going to hear about your bad service. So the customer experience is extremely important. And customer experience doesn't just come about once you've done the job, once you've given them the product or the service. It actually starts with answering your phone. Focus on the customer experience. Third one, remember to listen. Annually, maybe biannually, within our group of companies, we always send out a survey. We want to know what our customers think of us. Bad feedback is not necessarily a bad thing. It just shows you where you need to learn and where you need to grow. Listen to your customers, what their needs are. Do a survey sheet. There's some wonderful things now on an email maybe where they say, you know, rate my service, or at the end of the call, rate my service. That data is extremely important on developing your skills, on developing your business, giving a good customer service. Number 4, cultivate trust. Listen, customers only do business with people that they trust. Trust is an important aspect, not only just with your customers, but with your employees as well. My thinking is, why should I spend money with you? Why should I use your services if I don't particularly trust you? Work on cultivating that trust. Then be consistent. This is not always an easy one to do. You're going to drop the ball, you make mistakes, that's life. But as far as possible, be consistent. Be consistent in what you say and what you do. The last one, practice corporate social responsibility. I believe that as small business owners, we have a duty towards our community where we work in, where we live in, to give back to that community. And also, customers deal with people that have a passion, something that a cause that they feel passionate about. Your customers are interested in hearing that. So send out a newsletter, ask them for help. Would you like to be a part of it? Practice corporate social responsibility. It's all our responsibility to give back, to do the best that we can do. So with a minute to spare, guys, that is me. As you know, I like talking. I can go on and on. Steve, are you there? If there are any questions, please feel free.
Thank you very much. There currently isn't any questions. We'll give it about 30 seconds just to see if there's any questions from anyone. But thank you very much for coming in this morning. I think it's very educational. People can do a lot with this to improve their smaller businesses, to grow a bit more.
Thank you, Byron.
Thank you very much for joining us, and have a blessed week.